Night reports started coming in, and eventually the family of former Eskom chair Jabu Mabuza confirmed his passing on at the age of 63, reportedly of COVID-19 related complications. He's survived by his wife Siviwe and 3 children. Professor Maurice Radebe is the director and head of the Wits Business School and the founder of the Unleashing Leadership Potential ULP, which regularly invited the late Jabu Mabuza as one of its leadership speakers. Professor Radebe, thank you so much for making the time to talk to us this morning. When did you find out about Mr. Mabuza's passing, and what was your reaction?
Thank you very much to be invited in this platform of SABC. I found out yesterday. It was so painful. Jabu is my neighbor, so we've got a WhatsApp neighborhood group, which my wife and they are all in that. And then when it landed there, she called me and said, "Listen, look at what I'm seeing." And I said, "Wow, you can't be true." Was struggling to sleep last night thinking about Jabu. So it was really painful.
63, still in the prime of his 63. Life, where one can still achieve so much. Does it make his passing even harder to bear, thinking of what he could have still achieved?
Especially in this country, when we need leadership, we need people who are going to help rebuild post-COVID and the challenges we're facing. Jabu was at the heart of it, passionate about helping move South Africa forward. He had a lot of potential and a lot to give. And he had already given so much to this country. So we've missed a lot, and my condolences to the family and his loved ones and the children. But the whole country has lost a great leader.
You run a leadership outfit called Unleashing Leadership Potential ULP, at which you've featured Mr. Mabuza in terms of talks of leadership in the country. What were some of the things we could take away from what he imparted at these talks?
What was really remarkable about his talk in particular, normally we allow the speakers to speak about themselves and address where they grew up and what are the defining moments, what are their values, and what they've achieved. So when we were in the holding room preparing for that, Jabu said to me, "Maurice, you know what? I don't like to speak about myself," which to me was a sign of humility that is unbelievable. So I can take away humility from Jabu. And then he said to me, "Listen, Maurice, you know me, we grew up together, we were together at Teflop. While he was in the taxi industry, I was in the oil industry, and we were working very closely together. And so you know me, and I know him also throughout his leadership role in BUSA and in big organizations. It's just, why don't we have a conversation?" And I'm not really an interviewer or a presenter, but we had to change there and there. And I actually engaged in an interview just to ask him to highlight. I remember one thing that he said specifically there. He said, leadership is challenging and leadership is complex. Leadership must be prepared to take decisions. And the decisions are complex, but they have consequences. And leadership must be prepared to live and die by the consequences of their decision. And to me, it was an element of integrity. And he spoke a lot about integrity. And he gave a very good example of what integrity means, is doing things which other people are not there to see you, but you do the right thing. So I'm taking away humility, I'm taking away integrity, and I'm taking away also from Jabu's life just leadership that is prepared to stand by the consequences of their decisions.
It's interesting that you say you grew up together, you went to Turfloop together, and now you were neighbors. And there's this phenomena that when people move from the townships and into the suburbs, there's no neighborliness, no longer any neighborliness. How are you able to keep the connection and the friendship?
Well, it's Jabu. Jabu is a very friendly guy. Jabu is always want to maintain relationships, and every time we met, he would call me by my clan name, Bongane, Tim Cool, and we would all just be jolly fellow. I think he took responsibility of ensuring that we stayed together with his wife. They formed a neighborly WhatsApp group, informing each other about anything that is developing in the neighborhood, our children growing up, getting married, and sharing all the joys and pains and difficulties, whoever is sick. So, I mean, that's a typical Ubuntu. It doesn't leave us. In the townships, that's how we lived. We lived about, I remember when I was young, my grandmother, we used to send me to the next door and go and borrow a glass of sugar because we've run out of sugar. And the next month, my next door neighbor will borrow salt. That's how we live in the township. And I don't think we should miss that if we move into the suburb, that neighborliness, that Ubuntu. And Jabu symbolized that, and he lived it, and that's what happened.
He fell quite silent after he left Eskom. Do you have a sense of what he was working on in recent days?
No, I don't have a sight of that because I think he needed to relax and stay, reconnect with himself and the family because he had spent a lot of time and energy away from the family. Because the responsibility of Eskom, as you know, is extremely challenging. So he really went below the radar and kept to himself.
Just in terms of, as you say, the much needed leadership in South Africa, give us a sense of what kind of leader we're losing here.
We're losing a leader with guts. Jabu was a very courageous guy, and Jabu would take on anything. And what we're losing, is also, Jabu is an uncelebrated hero or a midwife of our democracy. In 1994, Jabu left most of his business interests and focused on providing administrative and secretarial support for the CODESA. I mean, if you look at your own archives on TV, you'll see Jabu moving, shuttling between the delegates that were negotiating there, going and preparing the podium, making sure that the speeches of Nelson Mandela or whoever needs to be speaking is on the podium and it's clean, everything is fine. And that's the humility of the man, being a great leader, but was able to play a serving role in the birth of our democracy. And these are the people that we're losing here. And especially as we're going through another major challenges of unemployment, inequality, poverty, exacerbated by the COVID-19. We need people like Jabu who are selfless, who are prepared to leave their financial business interest, but to serve the nation and play their national duties.
Professor Radebe, here on the show on a daily basis, we go through the latest statistics related to the COVID-19 pandemic. But once it starts to hit people you know personally, it just becomes a different picture altogether. How's the Wits Business School? How has it been impacted by COVID-19?
It's very, very, very. It's no longer statistics. Let's be honest. It's no longer statistics. At Wits Business School, we've also had incidences, which are right now, as I said, I've asked the business school that people should work from home, no face-to-face meetings, because we had about 7 cases of COVID testing positive people, and so it's hitting everywhere. It has hit all our families. It's hit my family. So I know what it means. I've lost my brother. So it is very, 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 very painful. And I know what they're going through in the Mabuza family.
So in that role that Mr. Mabuza played, that you play, of leadership in the country, what sort of messages should be going out in relation to the fight against COVID-19? Do you think what President Cyril Ramaphosa is doing, his different initiatives in the fight against this pandemic are sufficient?
Well, first of all, as President Ramaphosa says, it's in our hands. I mean, I understand there's a COVID fatigue. We are now tired of wearing masks, social distancing, and we have to go back to that. So my plea and urging and encouraging everyone, please wear your mask, please social distance, please, if you do not have to have a face-to-face meeting, stay away, stay at home. It is so important. We just cannot afford to lose so many people. As we see, the numbers are just doubling and escalating like you never believe. And you know, when the infection rates are going at this rate, that what we're going to have is massive hospitalization and then massive deaths. So my message is that all of us need to, this is not President Ramaphosa's issue alone. It is our future. It's our children's future, our grandchildren's future. It's our nation's, our economy. We have to comply with all the protocols that we need to. And if you're 60 and above, stop hesitating about whether this virus is what. All these conspiracy theories about this virus that are roaming around, please don't forget about that. Forget about it. Just go and get yourself vaccinated quickly and fast.
Just because we have you here, I just want to ask you about that report that was released by the Minister of Higher Education and Training last week in terms of the impacts of COVID-19, particularly on students and studying in tertiary institutions. Any differences in this regard with Wits Business School in terms of your intake and how students are studying now? Have you had to reduce face-to-face classes?
We moved very, very quickly at Wits Business School. We basically have moved all teaching online. So we're doing digital, virtual teaching online. And because we just cannot take the risk of having people coming to our big lecture rooms and then having a lecture room being a super spreader. No, we are all online and we are virtual, digital. And if we have to have what we call hybrid, is very small number of students come in and the rest are online on Zoom. We're busy renovating all our classes to have a hybrid blended learning, but we dare not take the risk of bringing all the students back. So we're definitely online.
Let's thank you for talking to us this morning and condolences on the passing of a friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Maurice Radebe is a professor. Professor Maurice Radebe is the director at the Wits Business School. Let's take it to the story.